Republican Governor Bob McDonnell. He's chairman, of course, of the Republican Governors Association, and he's traveling to Wisconsin today for an event with Governor Walker, but he's here this morning before jumping on a plane at Nashville. Good morning, Governor.
Morning, Chuck.
All right, let's, you don't want to presume anything 1 week out, but Governor Walker, Democrats are releasing polls that show Governor Walker ahead at this point. So there's just an argument about what's the margin. Is it 3 points? Is it 5 points? Is it 7 points? What's your advice to Governor Walker, assuming he beats back this recall, about how to unify this state?
Well, first, I admire Scott Walker because he's been a stand-up guy. He said, look, we're in trouble in Wisconsin. We have a $3 billion plus budget deficit. We've got to get our fiscal house in order without raising taxes. We've got to focus on job creation. And he said it's going to be painful. But he did exactly what he said he was going to do during the campaign, did it, and now the results are coming in, 25,000 plus new jobs. Some of the
tactics, I just want to start with the tone, because I think the critique here of Governor Walker and why there was such a backlash sometimes was less about policy and more about tone.
Well, tone's important in politics. I think you got to be able to stick to your principles and try to do it as much as possible way to bring people together. But there's no easy way, Chuck. When you got a mess like that in a budget, and I had it in Virginia, $6 billion deficit, you got to be honest with people and say,
I don't remember protests in the Richmond State Capitol, though.
Well, I smiled.
And you have,
I smiled a lot when I was cutting all that money.
And you have and you're dealing with bipartisan, you're having to deal with a Democratic-controlled state Senate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wisconsin's a little bit different state. It's the hotbed of public sector labor unions, also the birthplace of the Republican Party. So it's a very polarized state, if you will, to start with. But I'd say Scott was just very honest and matter of fact about what needed to be done. A lot of the major public sector unions, some of us didn't like it. The bottom line is the reforms are working. Your question is, what does he do after he wins? And I believe he will. Been pretty consistent. It's all about get out the vote. Now, people have already decided. There are a handful of undecideds, and they're probably on vacation.
Right.
The rest of the people are decided, and now it's about who gets through to the polls. I think Scott wins narrowly, and then I do think he understands that his job is to govern. When campaigns are over, you got to bring people together and govern, even the people who disagreed with you.
Are you surprised that, the thing that has struck me about this race is it's no longer about the recall. It's sort of both. Governor Walker's not running on sort of the process and all of that, and the Democrats aren't running on the issue with which they, instead it looks like a regular old governor's race. Well, I'm going to run on your record. I'm going to run against your record.
Right.
How did that happen?
Well, because the recall process isn't just do you like or not like Scott Walker, and then let's recall him, and then if he's recalled, then you go on to an election. The Wisconsin process is different. You actually have to put up somebody else to...
Then it becomes a regular campaign.
You have to run a regular campaign. So that's why it's coming in a regular issue. What are the issues in Wisconsin? Same as the national level. It's about jobs and the economy. It's about taxes and spending. Scott Walker's had the guts to do things that Barack Obama won't do, and that's lead and be honest about the fact that Wisconsin was broke just like America is in debt up to our eyeballs at $15 trillion. You can't get there and create solutions without some pain. He was honest enough to do it, and now it's working.
Well,